Yep. Thank you, Sheena. So actually, that's a great time to talk to. I just saw Kikoa jump on. So Kikoa is like in the middle of like Disneyland with the fam. So, but I might have to jump off early for a call. So he'll take over from there. Hopefully, it's manageable. But um, uh, welcome everybody. Another week. Hopefully everybody had a great week. Um, we're just discussing kind of like the commercial real estate space because there are concerns that there's a lot of assets that were kind of acquired in the last few years with and since the market's changing, people might get stuck in the middle and people are kind of already getting squeezed. So Zasha, actually, do you want to talk about, because like if you're on all these calls, right? Like what is the worry and how I know you just said that people are stopping, they're stopping to buy, like they're not buying right now. Or at least to the end of the year. So what are they primarily concerned about? Some of these syndicators and GPs who are, in the thick of this.
They're definitely concerned about the rates and what, their exit strategy is. A lot more people are getting creative. And we just closed on a 15-unit office building last week, Monday, that we were able to negotiate seller finance up to kind of like hybrid deal with the owner because the commercial loan that we're going to get, they, all of a sudden the interest rate spiked and then that raised ours. And then we're like, okay, we can't really do this deal, but he still wanted to work with us. So I think there is going to be a lot of opportunity to get more creative in this market. But that means, it's got to be a certain type of owner or team that you're buying from that will be open to that sort of thing. But I'm in a syndication right now where they had to do a capital call because, they weren't expecting the rates to increase this much. They weren't expecting the renovations and the evictions in that state to take as long as they did. So we're probably on our like third property management company, and it's a 110 unit property. So we started some renovations on some of the units, but it definitely, the team that we're working with did have experience too. They have a key principal, everything, but there's some of these deals that, nobody was expecting the rates to jump this quickly, this fast. And there are like, just even in the single family realm, right? We always over budget, over time, but in these bigger deals, it has more of an effect overall because now you're dealing with like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I think the concern moving forward with people who didn't account for the interest rate hikes or not in any sort of like creative situation where they have more time might come into needing some like emergency rescue fund or something to get them out, or they're going to have to foreclose.
Yeah.
How much was the capital call, Zasha?
It was for our group probably about maybe 50,000. We came in as a co-GP. I only had to give like 2,500, but there's a few of us, so um it wasn't
Yeah, that's
huge,
actually,
but it's still a good amount of money. Yeah.
You
And
never
so
want
what
to
they
do
did
that, right?
was the acquisition fee was about 500,000 for all the GPs. So they ended up saying, okay, since you have this amount of equity, you have to basically put back in a part of the acquisition fee that you got in the beginning as well. So initially started to take accountability with the GPs, and then after that had to ask the LPs, which it was really hard for us too, and me being newer to the space, especially in the last year. um you know it's never easy, even like for private lenders, right, to ask for an extension because things didn't go the way that you planned. So I'm hoping that this is just, one of the four projects that I'm in, the only one that we have to do this, because it's always having that tough conversation. But I think a lot of people understand, but it's going to make them more hesitant to invest in more of these deals moving forward.
yeah.
Yeah.
How many, you have 5 GPs. How many LPs do you have?
Um, I think we onboarded about 25-ish. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you have a pretty big syndication.
Yeah.
Does everybody on the call know what a GP and LP is? If you don't hesitate to just drop it in the chat. We could go over that. We don't
Why
want
don't you
to,
go over a capital call
And
just
then
in
the
case.
capital call. Yep, that's important.
Or
So
Zasha.
so Zasha's part of a GP group. She's got 5 in there. They put in a bunch of money. They got 500,000 for the acquisition fee, which is great. Where was the property at, Zasha?
In Austin, Texas.
Oh, great location. Okay.
Yeah,
Of course.
it's good. Look, I think it'll make out in the end, but just
Yeah.
to save now, it's like either you put forth the money that they're asking for or you foreclose. So it's like then you lose all your money. So that can happen.
Well, and Austin went up so fast that it's now
Mhm.
coming down fast. So that's the one tough thing about Austin. Yeah, we've been checking out Austin too with jealousy. So, we want to be in the Austin market and then now we're like, oh, thank God we didn't get in the Austin market when we did, because it's so high. But
Yeah, just come talk to me if you need a uplift about that.
yeah, Zasha, so why don't you define what a capital call is?
Basically, well, so again, I am no expert in syndications or anything like that, but from my experience, a capital call is basically when all the initial funds, say for like renovations or evictions and property costs for that initial time period that you want to then release the property, all that money is basically gone, used up. So now they need more money and more influx of money to complete the renovations, complete the evictions and all of that in order to continue with the project and make their payments and all of that. So, I mean, that's a very basic overview. I don't know if somebody else can give a better definition, but that's basically what it is. So either we put more money into the project, GPs and LPs, or we foreclose on it.
Ah, it's really good, actually. I like it. Anybody else want to throw in a little bit, and I can wrap it up at the end. Anybody else have experience with capital call? We're going to keep going on this, Zasha, because there's a lot. You have a lot that we can learn from, so it's kind of cool. And everybody else, I think, that's been on the calls lately, are really interested and fascinated by multifamily. So we're kind of talking a lot more about that space.
When we just were a part of a Bigger Pockets boot camp, me and Jonah. So Jonah can hop in as well, Wilson. I see you. I'm calling you out. Turn on your camera and hop on. Oh, yeah. But he's been on like all the for the boot camp, and I joined it, one, for the networking, but two, just to get a brief overview, because my focus has always been capital raising. So it's nice that I get to see, okay, what do they do? All the work that gets put into acquisitions, asset management. I know the basic overviews, but since I'm not in the day-to-day of it, it's good to just like refresh doing a quick boot camp.
Yeah. Well, so just big definition for a lot of people. So GP means general partner. And typically that is when you take down a really large asset and you don't have enough cash yourself. And it's such a big asset that you can't do it with maybe 2 or 3 people, or don't want to. You want to do it with more people to use more money. Then that's when you kind of form a GP team. GP team usually are the ones who find the deal, analyze the deal. They'll work on the financing. They'll scope of work. They'll do all of that. And that GP team essentially becomes like the core leadership team of the deal. And then LPs are limited partners. So the limited partners basically just give money, and they don't have a lot of control. They don't really have a vote. They just simply have a return. And Zasha, that's kind of how you guys probably set it up as well. GPs are the ones who have the decision-making power. They're the ones who stress out if things don't go well. They also have the ability to make the most money when everything's done. LPs always do well because there's a passive investment there. So some people love that because you can make limited partnership passive income. So there are some tax benefits there. But just like Zasha was saying, is that GPs will do the best they can to estimate out. We're also syndicators, so we do the same thing. And then you raise a bunch of money. So you raise enough money for the down payment. You raise enough money for starting the construction, and then you raise some emergency funds. And I think most people who closed on a property, say 6 months ago, didn't account for an emergency being interest rates skyrocketing. And then the domino effect is insurance rates skyrocketed, cost of materials skyrocketed, labor skyrocketed. So everything went crazy. And so then all of a sudden the capital reserves just kind of shrunk really fast. Is that kind of, Zasha, what happened there too? Yeah. So everyone's heard buy for cash flow. So if you're going to buy a multifamily right now, buy for cash flow. Because when you have no more flow of cash, then essentially that means you're bankrupt. Like you need cash to keep going in any business. And when you're bankrupt, it means what Zasha said, foreclosure. The bank now takes away whatever it is. It's car, your house, multifamilies. And so banks are now going to take back the property, which is a bigger conversation as to why the whole economy is looking crazy because of commercial real estate having this upside down effect right now. But this is so good because this is how it happens, just one investor group at a time. And it's really crazy because just like Zasha said, when you're on the GP team, your accountant suddenly comes to you and says, well, okay, so expenses are high, income's not as good, or it's not as high as we thought we'd get in rents. And then all of a sudden, rehab's going longer than we thought, carrying costs is longer. And then perhaps for some people that are in really bad shape is that they actually have to refinance because their interim bridge loan is now coming due. And now they got to refinance from say a 2.5% to like an 8%, which then throws it even more upside down with cash. So when you're bankrupt, that means cash flows are negative. That's when a capital call happens. GPs never like capital calls because it's embarrassing and it's a complete, almost like a complete, I don't know what I'm trying to use a better word than betrayal, but it makes the LPs suddenly feel like the thing's going to fall apart, right, Zasha? Like they're just like, oh my gosh, I had so much trust in you guys. It looked like such a great deal. I had so much belief that you guys were going to do it. And now you need more money. So LPs never like to hear about capital call. But I think what Zasha is saying for them is that they haven't told the LPs yet. They're just raising money first with the GPs. So is that right, Zasha?
Yeah.
So LPs don't know yet.
We haven't brought them in, no.
Okay.
Not yet.
So far the LPs are still happy. So that's good. But so GPs had to throw in money. 2,500 actually a person is not bad. I've heard of up to 100,000 a GP. So that's when it gets painful because everybody spent their acquisition fee, right?
Yeah.
Nobody sat around with that. But so that's what a capital call is so it starts with the GPs. And then if they can't get the ship back right, then they go to the LPs. And that's when the LPs need to also kick in some more money to preserve their investment, which is where the trust really falls apart because they're like, wait, so I need to give you more money just to make sure I get my return. Well, then in some cases, that's just to try to get them the return. In other cases, you need to give us more money just so we don't go bankrupt, so you don't lose all of your initial principal, right? So that's even worse. Zasha's not in that position yet, but I think what most people are hearing in the news now relative to all the talk about commercial lending and banks holding on to bad paper and negative equity, this is where it starts. But Zasha's group is doing a great job because they're trying to proactively get the ship right. So Zasha, a couple quick questions. I think Tay has her hand up. Question for you is there a conversation going on about, hey, maybe we should give the LPs a heads up? Or does the GPs feel good enough right now that the capital call was enough to, because a few GPs at 2,500, that to me only equates to like $20,000.
No, so for our group, so what we do is we negotiate a co-GP position for the capital raising portion of the deal. So us in our group, that's what we had to bring. So I think it came out to almost like maybe 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, yeah, like 10,000, a little over 10,000
for your group.
Yeah.
What was the total capital raise? Do you know? Capital call?
I think it was 50,000.
Okay, so that's not bad. 50 grand.
That's not bad at all. Given the market environment we're in, you know, it's like, yeah, like there's way, like if anything, I mean, and in this situation, it's not so much maybe the sponsors or the GPs made a big mistake or anything like that. It's just the market environment, you know, it's just, it turns so quick. And so now it's really going to test like who's the, you know, the real sponsors, you know, who can make it through this and navigate this and who just won't quit, you know, who run through all the paper walls that are in front of them. So one thing that like from our experiences, like setting the expectations for the investors and the LPs coming in before, you know, is so important for like these reasons, because like it'll make the conversation easier in the worst case scenario when, you know, if you do have to go back to them and ask, or if things are running long and you have to ask for, you know, understanding. The work that you do on the front end, that's when it matters, you know, and hopefully it doesn't ever come to that. But setting the right expectations up front is going to save a lot of stress and possibly, lawsuits, ahead of time if you set the right expectations up front, right? So that was just my 2 bits. Oh, and the last thing, and I'm kind of rushing because I got to jump off in like 8 minutes, but one thing that I took away too, because I heard about, like extensions and stuff, is if you're in a bridge loan, whether it's a private lender, hard money, or whatever loan, like just don't rely or plan ahead and don't assume that your lender is going to extend in these times, right? So we talk about, let's be proactive. Like if you're in a bridge loan and you have maturity dates coming up, like start working on it like right now, stay ahead of it, right? Because you don't know if your lender is going to extend, and most likely they will, because most of them don't want to have to go through that process, especially right now. They just want their money back. So, but just don't assume that. I think Tay had her hand up. Yeah.
Keiko ended up answering the question. So thank you.
Hey, how's that? I get to answer your questions before you even ask them. I like it. But Zasha, what about, have you guys thought about talking to the LPs?
So we let them know in like the quarterly update what's going on, and that we had to put extra capital into it. And obviously it's not like, fully renovated, and it's already had to be. So we let them know there was some changes in the property management company. There was some evictions that took a little, so we've been keeping them up to date. And I think going to, even myself as being a part of the main team, going to conferences like Best Ever Conference with Joe Fairless, that just like kind of reassured me, okay, we're not the only ones going through it. It's okay to talk about, these hard times, because there are like Neil Bawa is creating like basically a rescue fund for those, like to have another option before going to foreclosure. They're going to come in and take it over, but
Right.
it still is, an option for people. So even for me being, part of the main team, just knowing other options out there, that would only benefit, my investors too.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned that. If anybody on this call ever has an issue with your financing, or you're about to lose a property for any reason, like, please let us know. We may be able to find a way to help you to not go into foreclosure. But like you said, Zasha, sometimes people have to take over, but that's all right. It's like, at least I get out, right? And that's good. No, I'm glad that you're doing that proactively. We are going to do the same thing on one of our projects with LPs, just proactively. Like, we haven't done a capital call. It's not in the works. We're still sitting on like 3 million in the cash bank account. So we're doing really good right now. But at the same time, we know, so if anybody else is in a syndication, that people are thinking it. Like when they're watching the news, they're like, okay, I got 100K there. I've got 50K there. I've got 200K. They're thinking, I wonder if my money's okay. So before they let their minds go crazy with all the news, it's better to be proactive and send an update. Like you said, Zasha, a quarterly update. And at first, just make it casual. We're actually going to do a Zoom call to just answer questions. So that way they can see eyeballs, and chances are there's going to be maybe nobody that shows up, but that one person who shows up is that one person who actually has questions. And that's the one person that if they actually didn't get their questions answered, they would have contaminated the water, right? They would have just like made a whole lot of noise. So that's always really good. So that's good, Zasha, that you guys are doing that. We're doing the same thing. So if anybody else has any, even private money lenders right now, do you have any LPs? Like, it's just good to just give them a heads up to say, hey, just wanted you to know, things are looking good. The economy is tough. Interest rates are high. Costs have gone up. Here's what we've done. But definitely don't be one of those investors that totally skirts the issue and be like, no, we're totally golden. It's great. What's wrong? There's nothing wrong. And then they're like, no, pull out my money because you're just dumb, right? So that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, you always want to be considerate, right, of your investors. Like, even when the banking, when SVB and Signature Bank and they're all kind of going upside down, the immediate thought to me is like, oh, I bet my investors are gonna call me, and sure enough, like, it's starting text messages, right? So, and that's warranted. So when something like that happens, like, you have to take action, even if like you feel it may not be necessary in that moment, just to, you put yourself in your investor's shoes, like what would they, what would they prefer, to make them feel safe. So like we, open up accounts with Chase Bank and, some of the top 10, and we will, use that because we hold on to a lot of money, and it is at risk, as we've seen, right? So yeah, crazy times, man. But I gotta jump off, guys. But I just wanted to let everybody know that if you're gonna be in Vegas, or if you are in Vegas next week, we're gonna be in town for our conference, and we're trying to fill the room. We got a little competition going on, so please, if you guys want to come visit us, and then also for our coffee talk,
what
fam.
days is that, sorry? What days is that?
That'll be the 22nd.
22nd.
But
Next
but
Saturday.
if you guys come in like on the 20, like around there, if you can hang back for like a day or something, I'd love to have like a mastermind with just us in person, in Vegas, and I can, find a place for us. So yeah, anyways, I gotta jump off, but you guys have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll see some of you in Vegas next week. Hello, everybody. Thanks, bro. Sorry to pull you away from Disney.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Good to see you, Daniel, too. Yeah, if anybody's in Vegas next week, we're going to be hanging out. It'd be fun to hang out. I'll even give you a tour of our RV park. Good fun. But Zasha, that's great. Anything else? Anybody got questions for Zasha? Or Zasha, anything else you're thinking about with relative to your multifamily that you're processing that we can all learn from?
I guess it all depends on the team, right? I mean, we had the right team there, had the experience, but it's just, I think, you go
The
through it. Some deals
market.
are good, some deals are not so good. So, or don't end up turning out as you thought it would. So, yeah, I guess learning lessons. We never like to talk about the hardships, but it happens even in these bigger deals that you think, okay, this is foolproof. We got the good team, the numbers work, and shit happens, for lack of better words.
Zasha, I'm so glad you said that. No, absolutely. It totally happens. I'm so glad you said that, because you know what? I caught myself doing the exact same thing, because initially I was like, oh, I'm going to invest with this group or that group because they're bigger, they're older, they've been around, so they're probably going to do things better. But what I've realized in running some of their numbers is that they're getting sloppier because they're too cocky, like they're too experienced. So they don't underwrite it themselves anymore. They've got this little team of virtual assistants in some other country running numbers. They look at it, and then the back of the napkin says, oh, cash on cash, 12%. Great. How's the IRR? Great. What's the location? Downtown Austin. Great. So everything just like high dashboard level. They're like, let's go for it. And I'm not saying that's your case, but I've definitely seen some GPs out there that have not fully vetted because they're banking on the fact that they're keeping a machine going. And so they have to keep deals going because they got so much money going. So I say that too, to agree with Zasha. It's like, be careful if you're going to be partnering with anybody out there to run the numbers yourself, and just double check, because everyone runs them different. And even when I run numbers and our team runs numbers, Tyler will run numbers, somebody else will get it. And they're like, man, your rehab seems really low, or how come your insurance is so high? So everyone's got a different perspective, but those are good questions, because if you don't ask those questions, you're going to assume everything is correct. And then when you're in and your name is on the line and they start asking you for $2,500 or $25,000 or $250,000, then it gets really painful. So I'm super glad you said that, because you're right. Nobody wants to talk about the downside. There's always so many upsides, right? Seems so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel,
Well, and for me too, it was really important to negotiate, to be a part of the GP, because now we're on the weekly meetings. We can tune in and be alert to, okay, what's going on. And as we onboard, bring in people into the deal, we can, let our investors know, like, hey, this is what's going on, or this is what we're doing these are the questions that we ask and what we're doing to kind of prevent some of that concerns that people have right now.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good. Because you're right. If you're a GP, you get to be in on the deal and hear all the scoops. But then you also get all the stress too, right? Because you're just like, wait, what do you mean our numbers aren't looking good? What do you mean we didn't get those units rented, right? So how many units is it again in Austin?
110.
110. Okay. And what percent
Mhm.
occupied are you? 100.
We're down to, I believe, 40 because we had to evict everybody.
Oh my gosh. You have
yeah.
40% of the units occupied. So are you even cash flowing?
Not right now. That's why
Oh,
we
wow.
had the first capital call with the GPs.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So, I mean, intuitively, just outside eyes looking at it, raising 50,000 seems really low.
Yeah. Well, it's the initial to get that last 40% out and then to continue renovations
Gotcha.
as
Okay.
we change over property management companies too.
And you're on property management number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so
Why
funny.
is that? Why are property management companies like, because you guys haven't been in this for a year yet, right, Zasha? Or has
We
it just been
just-
a year?
Yeah, it's just been a year.
What? Why?
Mhm.
So that's a good question because I have a perspective
Yeah.
on that too. But why Zasha would you guys be on number 3 in under 12 months?
Well, for the first property management company didn't do what they were supposed to do as far as getting the evictions done in a timely manner. And they were not, we had expected to start the renovations, around the 8th or 9th month. And so that wasn't getting handled. So we had to fire them and then hire another agency who said they were going to do better. And then we also have people in the area who are going by the property. They seen that there was like all this trash outside. As you're evicting tenants, they leave behind like a lot of stuff. So they were letting the property kind of get run down in the process. And for us, that wasn't okay as far as like our team and how the property management should have handled things. Because even though we're going to renovate the units, now things are deteriorating even more because people are leaving behind stuff. And that's like some of the costs that you don't really think about is like the trash out, right? Of people like evictions. And so,
Yeah, the move out.
yeah. And so that was a big cost that we incurred. So we had to fire them as well because they weren't, we had somebody drive by, they seen all that trash and stuff out. We gave them a month to kind of like clear it out and they didn't. And so we had to kind of move on. So, and these came all highly recommended, like Kekoa said, like legit syndicators in the area were like, oh yeah, we use this property management company. You guys should use them too. But at the same time, with all these investment in people moving into Austin and these syndications going on, they were overwhelmed. So the first property management company took on a lot of clients and they weren't ready. Then the second one was just like, we need to get out of the first one. So another person recommended the second one. And so it's just so on and so forth, right? And then two, as a property management company, I can see how it can be difficult if you're trying to pick up the pieces. You're still trying to get information from the last property management company to kind of move things along, but we're now like crunched for time and money. So we just got to keep moving.
And is your plan to sell the property, like almost like do a really long-term flip, or to burr it?
To sell it, yeah.
To sell, okay. So when the rates are better and all that, then, so if you guys can withstand for the time being until the market is better, then you probably either.
Yeah, there's still
make
time. I mean,
money
we still got to
or-
lease
yeah.
it up. We still got to, there's so much more. This is just the beginning.
How much
Yeah.
more years do you have left on your IO?
My what?
How many more years do you have left on the IO, interest only?
Oh, we're the 5-year, so 4.
So you're at 4 of 5 years. So in 12
Yeah.
months, you go to principal and interest.
Yeah.
Oh, and you're at 40% occupied.
Well, we're trying to evict those people.
Okay.
So we have renovated about almost all the
60%.
other,
Yeah.
units.
Okay, so 60% are occupied, renovated, occupied, and rented at market value.
No.
Renovated.
Yes.
60% are renovated and sitting vacant.
Yes.
Why do you have like 60 units sitting vacant? Just curious.
That's why we're changing property management companies.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Gosh.
And then, wow. And then you have the 40% remaining that are basically squatters that you need to,
Evict.
and I own in Texas too. They're a pain in Texas right now. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Absolute crazy. So, oh yeah, I don't understand. Wait, so you have 60 units fully rented fully ready on market ads and nobody's signing leases.
Yes,
Crazy.
because of the condition of the people that we are evicting, leaving the property trashed, basically. So as they're evicting people, and then as we're renovating, like there's all the construction crews there. It's not like it's one building.
Yeah.
On one property. So it
Yeah.
makes everything else look
The bad apples are affecting
Distress,
the
yeah.
entire thing now. Yeah,
Yeah.
like the bad apples are, oh.
broken down cars in the parking lot, just
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
a hot mess.
Yeah. So this is this is so good, Zasha. I'm so excited. Let's just talk forever. This is so much fun.
No, let's
Um,
nice in the heart. Like let's
No. It's such a good
Anybody
lesson.
else got anything?
You
No,
got this,
No, you've got this. But a
You
good
got this.
good lesson for everybody else, because this is super important, is so the complex that I can relate to you 100% is in Vegas, 160 unit, totally class C. We bought it probably class F, and that would be F as in a major swear word. And then now we're moving to C, but we want to get to a B. And the challenge is exactly that. You got we have like shootings, we have murders, we got cars that are up on jacks, and we got cars with bullet wounds. Like, I mean, you just got the
Oh
whole
my
thing.
gosh.
And then you got people who've lived there so long that they could tell stories about all the drug deals and all the murders, and that's just kind of what they talk about. And so you're trying to stabilize, not just by rehab, you've got to stabilize by also entire culture, right? Like you're trying to get the whole thing shifted around. One thing that I've learned, and what Zasha is also saying, is that you've also got to be really strategic on your rehab plans when you get a big property like this. So fortunately, we were able to evict by buildings, and that really helped us, because you kind of do rehab by sections of your property. So that way sections of your property look gorgeous, like their landscape and units are all done and buildings are pretty. So that way you're not renting a gorgeous $1,500 a month unit next to a squatter who's paying $0 and literally got barbecue grills and bikes outside their door and underwear hanging from their back window. Like that's the kind of stuff that happens. And I think that's exactly what Zasha is saying, is that nobody wants to move in and pay you market when you're going to move right next door to just an absolute different kind of demographic, and not trying to become too racist of any kind or not trying to make any statements there, but it's a very different demographic, right? And a very different economic class too, because you're going from a few hundred or $0 a month to market value. So keep that in mind for those who are looking at scope of works. Many of us come from the flipping background. And so the flipping background, you don't have to think about too much, right? You just think about your one house. But when you get to multifamilies, you're basically flipping 110 houses. You got the whole neighborhood. And the people now don't want to move next door to a neighbor that is going to make them feel unsafe, or their kids are going to feel unsafe, or they're going to have weird smells, right? All that. So definitely try to renovate by zones or by sections. What we did is we took a look at the buildings that had the most squatters, and we're like, okay, that building is going to take us forever to get them out because of the way that the city is operating right now with the memorandum, all the moratoriums. So which buildings could we move people around? So we vacated entire buildings by saying, hey, we're going to move you to another building, same rent, etc. But we're able to take down buildings at a time. Zasha, if you guys had done that, would that have been a little bit different for you?
1,000%. And
Yeah.
that's why the property management from the start, that's why we're having issues now.
Now it makes sense, because it's just boggling my mind that you have 60 units plus totally ready to go and nobody ready to sign the lease. So yeah, that happens. We'll pause for a second. Dante, you got so patiently have your hand up.
Yeah, question. So do you folks have like the on-site manager? And then if the on-site manager, you folks never thought of like doing it in-house instead of hiring a property management?
Now they're doing it in-house. Yeah, now one of the GPs actually moved on site.
Okay.
So lesson there, and I don't know if Zasha wants to expand on that, but that's major. If you think about it, if you're going to be a GP on a deal, which every investor wants to be, is think in your head, am I willing to move on site if everything goes south? Like what Zasha is saying is that this deal got so bad because the property managers were effing it up so bad that we actually had to send a GP to go move on property. A GP who has, tons of cash, who helped get the deal, now has to go live in a C-class property, right? Like not ideal, but that's kind of major. So something to really keep in mind. Zasha as well, follow-up question to Dante's. So they're going to live on site. Is he going to take a salary on that then or anything? Or he's
Not right now, because we just did the capital call. So he was one of the initial guys who found the deal. So he's willing to do that moving forward, just temporarily
That's
to
awesome.
monitor things. Because obviously the property managers were telling, and the second property managers were telling us stuff that were happening that weren't, until they went to the property scene, it was not the case.
Yeah, 100%. So that's a huge lesson, because the guy who found the deal kind of got the GPs together, cast the vision, got everybody excited, took everybody's money, probably got a big chunk of the initial finder's fee or acquisition fee. And so now, in order to keep trust and to keep rebuilding, he has to go move on there himself. So that's really kudos to him, because that's awesome. There's a lot of GPs who would never move into a building, but that's huge. And then now he's got to basically give up his day job and take on a day job, which is to be on staff. So now, is the property manager going to still be on site then? And he's going to be an on-site oversight to the PM?
Yeah.
Fun. So when do you move down there, Zasha?
Oh man.
That's a horrible thing, right? Dante, do you have another question? That was a great question, bro.
That was it. I just had questions on that.
Yeah, that's huge. Zasha, do you know what you're paying your property manager right now?
I'd have to look to what we negotiated last.
Yeah.
But I know, yeah, I'd have to see.
We could do, if anybody's interested, we should do an entire session on property managers, negotiation rates, and how to work on their packages, because it's not as simple as I think we all thought initially.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm working on right now is an asset management company to supplement in between the ownership group and the property managers, because that middle level right there is what's missing oftentimes. And it's the piece that would have the best option to help make sure that the asset does well, because PMs, just like Zasha said, I'm finding the exact same thing. They're yes people, and they'll sign everybody on because they get a percentage, and then they overcommit, they underperform, and then the only people that suffer are the owners. The PM doesn't suffer. They just go, okay, no big deal, because I've got 5,000 other clients that are still coming in the door, so no big deal. And then you're like, wait, I just killed 6 months, I've lost all this revenue, and I've got no recourse. So keep that in mind, because when you sign your PM agreements, make sure you have recourse. That if the property manager doesn't hit certain KPIs by an exact certain timeline, that you have recourse to claw back, it's the term, to take away some of their monies, or to go after them for additional funds. Because I mean, you're losing thousands. Like Zasha, I'm being in Austin, I'm assuming it's at least 1,000 a door. So yeah, per unit to market rent. So that's 60 units. She's losing $60,000 a month right now.
Insane.
It's insane. It's crazy. And that's why when people like go into multifamilies and they're like, oh, it's so good, it's going to be so easy. It's like, just like single family home flipping, just on a higher scale. It's like, yeah, but the drama is on a higher scale too. That's for sure. The alcoholism comes quicker though. So for those of you who like drinking, it's a great opportunity.
I'm cracking
from the
up because
beginning.
we backed out of that 70 something unit
Okay.
deal. And it's just because they were pressuring us to hurry up and not close, but go under contract, and then their initial contract was bad. But I feel like everything you're talking about, you know, I feel targeted. I feel aimed at because I was the one trying to push for the deal. And we're like, yeah, we have a PM company, like they'll be great. And they've never done multifamily. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm glad.
Well,
This is
Tay,
gonna be
good
part of
thing-
your story, Tay. Like,
I
you
know,
know,
right?
this is gonna be great. Like, it's just all part of it. Yeah, you know, like, oh
Tay, it
man.
would have been
Yeah,
funny if you went through it because you would have had to move there. You would have had to follow Sasha's
Yeah, no,
model.
but the only thing I wanted was that 3.45%. I was hanging on to that. I'm like, no, I'm sure it's gonna be good because it's fixed, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, thanks
No,
for
you did the
sharing.
right
Good
thing.
stuff.
One of my favorite sayings is sometimes our best deal is the deal we did not take.
Yeah. Yeah.
So be okay with that and realize, and I get the same. I get kind of, you know, tied into something and I'm like, I gotta have this deal. Like, this is so perfect. Like Corey and I had been talking about a deal and it just didn't work out. And I'm like, oh man, that thing would have had like 4 million of equity. It would have been so perfect. And, you know, it just wasn't the right time for us. So there'll be more deals. But this is so good. Zasha, you are such a great example for everybody, because you're right. We don't talk about like the painful stuff, and there can be some painful stuff there. Zasha, what else is in your portfolio right now? Are you GPing other properties?
Yeah, so 3 co-GP on 3 other ones. And me and Ellard partnered on a 15-unit office building. We closed last week, Monday. We closed on the RV park in February, the 48 pad site. And so we got an SBA loan for that one, me and 2 other partners. And so we just are waiting for the construction loan to get approved through the SBA as well. And then we're going to start with that. And hopefully we'll be up and running, you know, by the end of this year, because it's an abandoned site. So something
Wow.
new, something crazy, never been there, never seen an RV. So maybe I got to borrow yours for a little bit so I can drive down there. Branson, Missouri.
Oh yeah. RV, where's it at?
Branson, Missouri.
Oh, Branson. Okay. Never, yeah, Missouri's not really on my radar, but yeah, that's, I was gonna offer to come over and kind of, you know, help you out, but that's that's too far.
They said it's the Las Vegas of the Midwest. I guess apparently a lot of people go there, families and old people, retirees. They even have like all the bright lights and stuff. Yeah, it's pretty, I can't wait to go. Once it's up and running, then I plan to go fly down there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, please keep us updated in regards
Right,
to.
look,
oh,
Lisa said
Lisa
her family
says-
vacations there every year.
Yeah, well, there it is, the Missouri Vegas girl,
Yeah.
Lisa. Yeah, keep
You
us
can
updated
test it
on
out for
that.
me.
The Austin deal is really fascinating to me, so keep us updated on that. And
Yeah,
if
I
you
will.
know anything at all, just let us know. On the
Yeah.
GP that moved there, is he GPing other deals as well, or is this his only
Yes.
GP?
No.
Okay,
Mhm.
wow, where's he
But
from?
they said a few of their other deals aren't panning out as well. So it might be the case, like you had mentioned, they got too comfortable because the last few years, and I can say even on our flips, right? Everybody got comfortable with where things were headed, and not all of the deals panned out well. So
Yeah. And so now more than ever, just on Zasha's words, run your numbers and then run them again. And then do everything you can to check out the GP and know them, not just their resume, but their character. So whoever Zasha's GPing with, who's moving there, that's solid character. Like, it would take a lot for most people to give up everything and go move on site to an asset to try to help save it. So that's what you're looking for as a GP partner, is people who will do the right thing, have the honesty, integrity, because I mean, if he's doing a lot of other deals, this could have gone really bad for Zasha. Like, this guy could have easily said, you know what, let's just do a huge capital call, you know, and then kind of take a hands-off approach to it and hope everything comes back later. Which it usually doesn't. Like, the best approach is to do a hands-on approach. So it's really good that he's doing that. But yeah, so that's good. It sounds like you got a good GP partner there. Is there anything that we could do to add value to your situation?
maybe loan money at 0%.
Awesome. I love it.
You gotta ask, right?
I mean,
You know who got that kind of money is Alex Camacho. He lives in LA, he lives in Maui, he's flying to Mexico. That guy gets any money. So Alex is even listening to us right now. I'm trying to make fun of him and he's not paying attention.
Yeah, he's definitely not hearing us. This is
Let's do that.
hilarious.
We could also
Oh.
make fun of Greg Godet, who's always in his Porsche, but you know, all good.
Sorry guys, you can't get rid of me that quick. My call was really quick. But it's actually interesting because it was with John Hornick, you know, it was our mentor call. And so I asked him, you know, I was like, oh, I wonder if I can get in and out of this call so I can come back and play a little bit, you know, what he's saying. So if you guys want at the end, if you want to stick around, then I'll play the recording. It's like a couple minutes. And then I'll probably, I would rather cut the recording though. So we'll do it at the end, just to respect, you know, some of his time, but I carry on. Sorry guys, I just wanted to add that in there so nobody jumps off if you don't want to listen in. There's some good nuggets in there, that's why.
This is great.
I just wanted to say also, we closed a deal with Kiko today, a flip in Kansas City, Missouri with Shannon and Kevin. So thank you guys, always coming through. And
Thank
we
you,
have
Ted.
really
Yeah.
good terms. And Aiden about to have a baby. He was like up at 2:00 today getting through this. Like, I can't believe. And he's actually, yeah. So thank you guys.
I'll
Our
pass that
sellers,
along to him, and thank
is
you.
not nice. So Aiden's like taking beatings today since 2 a.m. So mahalo.
Yeah. He's a special one. You guys watch him. He's gonna shine
Yeah.
big. He already is. So, but he is having a baby on Sunday. They're gonna induce. So everybody pray,
Woo.
if you can, say some prayers for our guy here. He's so young, but like, man, I get inspiration from him, you know. So yeah, thank you, Tia. I'll pass that along.
Yeah. No, he seriously went above and beyond. Like, there's
Yeah.
more that's not even loan related. He went above and beyond. So just big thank you, guys.
Thank you.
and then also plug for Brandon Turner's Mastermind next month, at the end of next month, if you guys are thinking of going, plug in Zasha 10 for 10% off their Mastermind.
Nice.
Or
There we
REI
go.
Summit on Maui.
It's and Brandon does a really good job. I've been to a couple of his things. So if you're looking to network, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Brandon's so good at that. So it's fantastic. Anybody else got anything that's kind of, we spent a lot of time on Zasha, but hopefully it's been really insightful. I know it was for me for sure too.
Yeah. Anybody got some positive notes?
That is positive, Zasha. That is, I think what you're going through is very positive. Like that's the reality of today's market. Is if anybody is like, oh no, the market's great and I've got no issues. I'm like, I'm not sure what market you're in because we're not in that same market. It's challenging, you know, you got to think now, you got to work, you got to be smart. So no, kudos to you. It's going to go great. If you do have a challenge of any kind that I can help with, Zasha, let me know. I'm not by any means an expert, but we've been looking at some 500 to 1,000 unit properties, and it's like a whole, like it's racking my brain. So I've had to learn faster, and the same systems. Like if we can't get it right with 160 to 200 doors, like we're going to be majorly off the rails when we get to 500. Like it's like you can make more money faster, but it also goes south like in the blink of an eye. Like it's so fast south. And it's been a fun learning. I think we could do a whole nother session on that, but anybody else got anything you want to talk about? Daniel, you look intense too. Alex and Daniel's faces just look so intense.
Look, yeah, I'm trying to fix my accounting man right now. So it's like it hurts my brain.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're fixing your accounting because taxes are due tomorrow?
Yeah, well, I mean, like we found extension, but just showing that just a lot of just accounting cleanup stuff. So
Yeah. Do you do all your own accounting, Daniel?
no, I have like a whole team that does it, but it's still like I'm tempted to jump in because they're just like they're not up to par so far. So yeah.
Yeah. That's the
I have a good
non-sexy part.
team if you need.
Tay's got a good team.
Yeah, good bookkeepers, and I just hired some kind. It's called fractional CFO. I didn't know that existed. but-
We just hired a CFO like recently to help with our just like give us stuff, and so we've been meeting with her, and she's been giving us like a lot of insight into like, okay, like we need to fix this, resolve this, and that's why I'm kind of jumping in now. But the fractional CFO is like super damn expensive, man. So I'm trying to like use as little of her time as possible, so then like I can just, so the more that I fix on the front end and then take off our accountant and bookkeeper, the more that like the cheaper the rate for like our super damn expensive like CFO. So
Yeah. But that's doing it right, like it's all, business is never like a straight shot. Like you always gotta pivot, go backwards sometimes, shore up, the systems, the processes, swap people out, so it's very dynamic. And then you have outside, like the market, changing all the time. So yeah. But I mean, I think most of us on this call, like we live for this, like we wouldn't want to trade it for anything else. So that's why we sacrifice like a Fridays and weekends and nights to get shit done.
gotta love it, man. You gotta love the hustle.
Yep.
Fun.
Yep.
If anyone's looking for a 57 unit in Houston, we do have one available that we ran the whole thing on, and it's looking pretty good.
I just saw that email. It's looking good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking like a pretty good one. So if anybody wants to partner or anything like that, let us know. That could be a nice one for a smaller experience for anybody who wants a smaller deal to start. And then this is good. This was great. Always good conversations. Anybody got
All right,
any
bro, you
other?
better get back out there.
I know my wife's texting. She's like, what's going on? What's going on? I'm like,
You get me in trouble, bro.
if you haven't done a study on Walt Disney, what a crazy concept, man. Build this vision where people will pay literally $500 a day for a ticket and then pay extra to go on rides and then pay $10 for water, stand in 2-hour lines, and then yet still have a smile on your face. Like, I mean, what kind of cocaine is that?
One of the business guys at at Ryan Piana, he
Yeah.
said they went on like the
Harper.
custom the private tour, so like they walk you to all the rides, all the things. It's like $7,000 for like one day or something. But
They
then,
did all the rides, right? In
they'll
one
take
day.
you to every ride.
for
You get like
$7,000.
things. It's just like but you're buying time for this game, right? So like you don't have to wait in any lines. We eat whatever you want, so they get off the ride and their food is waiting for them whenever they order from like the thing, and then they get like hand walk to every ride that they want to walk for like the full day or something. Super
Really?
interesting.
There's such a package called the $7,000 package. And
Yeah,
they
some
probably
kind of,
sell
like,
a ton,
NFT price.
they sell a ton of them, I bet.
Probably, I mean, just like, but you're paying for time, right? Because he was like, it would have taken us like 4 days to do the exact same thing that we did here. So if you consider like hotel nights, all things, and also the cost of your time, right? So just like in the bigger picture is actually like money actually save the money depending. So
Yeah.
But do you lose out on the experience? Because part of Disneyland is dealing with the lines, and like.
I don't know, if that's what you're into, then by all means stand in the line.
Yeah.
Part of the fun is that whole maneuvering through the fast passes and trying to, do all that
Yeah.
game. But I get it though. I've heard of people buy out the park at like midnight just to have their own company do the whole thing. So
Hey, how
great.
much to buy out the park, man? On the
It's
most off day, I think we should.
There's a syndication for that one. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
That's
people
awesome.
will come for that, I think.
I know Disney World, Magic Kingdom, I looked into it to have that one for like couple of hours was like, I want to say like 300,000 or something like that.
Oh,
That's
wow.
crazy.
Okay. The whole park for
No,
300.
yeah, Magic Kingdom, the Magic Kingdom side. No,
Okay.
or what is that? Yeah, the
Or
yeah,
Animal
I think so.
Kingdom.
Yeah, Animal Kingdom, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, Animal Kingdom's the best. That's where the
Yeah.
Avatar ride is. That's my favorite
Okay.
ride. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, Kiko gotta go because he can get me in trouble. So go find the family.
This was
bro.
awesome
Get outta
though.
here.
I'm glad I took a break because this was very, very fun. Zasha,
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear more.
Well, I'll see you next week, bro.
All right, to all of you guys, have a good one.
See ya. If you guys want to hang around, I'll just kind of play our little discussion we had with John. If Sheena, you want to cut the recording real quick?